Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem. This is a postmortem of my Blitz game number 252. I was white here and kicked off with knight f3, the Reti. So let's see how it went. Knight f3, d6, a bit of an unusual move. Let's see, knight f6 is the most common reply, just kind of waiting around to see what your opponent does. Also d5 and c5, all quite playable. d6 seems to threaten e5. And it seemed like a good idea to stop it with d4. I didn't have any particular opening in mind at this point. I was just playing the moves that seemed logical, but it looks like that's a top choice there. Then my opponent comes out with his knight, and I played g3. It looks like going ahead with c4. And if I had played c4 here, this would be like a Pierce defense with the pawns here, and a knight there, and pawn to g6 to follow. So g3, g6, yeah, so sort of transposed into an unusual line of the Pierce defense where I haven't played c4. Eventually, it looks like c4 is still the main move here. Eventually I do play it, and so this is the position we get right here. And if black would castle, we'd actually be in some kind of mainline position, it looks like. But he played c6, an interesting way to play. Has ideas of playing c5 or d5 later, or even, as we see in the game, e5. So a very flexible kind of move, and not bad. So I just keep developing, and he castles, and once again we've transposed into a position which has got quite a few games in it. So this position has been played before, and looks like it's got chances for both sides. So the main way to continue here for black is queen a5. Interesting move. It's not pinning the knight anymore because I've already castled, but maybe it's just exerting influence along the fourth rank, supporting some pushes to e5 or d5. Other moves here besides queen a5 are bishop to f5. Seeing if you can take over this nice diagonal here. Knight bd7, yeah, just developing a piece. My opponent instead played rook e8, and we're out of the opening book here. I think maybe it's a bit of a mistake to develop a rook there before developing the queenside pieces, but he has the idea of playing e4, and I can't really stop it at this point. I decided to go ahead and play e5. He has the idea of playing e5. I go ahead and play e4. I would go ahead and push to e5, perhaps trying to blunt his bishop. But he's set up his e5 push, and everything works out pretty well. So I was thinking about taking the pawn here, and it looks like that is a move. It's top choice of the engine. But it doesn't, it's not so simple. If he takes, one reason for taking is you might try and win a pawn like this. But it looks like it's not so great after bishop e6. Bishop e6. And now, if I try to hold on to this pawn, I get in a bit of trouble here. So the engine is recommending just bishop e3. Oh, the pawn is defended by the knight here, huh? Yeah, okay, so the chess engine is recommending black play on a pawn down as a as a pawn sacrifice, I guess, a gambit. The other thing you always have to worry about in these positions is whether there's a discovery. So if black tries this move, knight takes e4, threatening my knight. That's why this is maybe interesting. I can escape with knight takes f7, king takes, and then grab this knight. And I've kept my extra pawn, and his king is a little bit out of play. So this line would still be good for white. So the interesting line here, I guess, is the what does the chess engine recommend for an advantage? The chess engine is recommending you take, and then when he takes back, you don't trade queens, but you play something like queen c2, holding on to your pawn, as the best way for white to continue to play for an advantage. So you don't actually win a pawn, or if you do win a pawn, black gets compensation. Anyway, I was just sort of wondering about that after I had played d5. I was thinking, well, I could have taken that pawn and tried to hold on to it. But it looks like this is an okay move, and the game continues in more or less normal channels. We keep a slight edge for white here, the usual kind of opening advantage. And now these maneuvers here, black starts some maneuvers that don't work out, and white's advantage really begins to grow here. So this knight h5, it's well motivated. It has the idea of playing the pawn to f5 and opening up the center, but maybe it's a little bit mistimed. These pieces are not yet developed, and black really wants to get an attack going and have a lot of pieces around his king before opening things up here. So I play one of the good moves here, queen d2. Oh, well, yeah, there it is. I guess there's a wide choice of moves for white in this position, but just putting some more pressure on the h-pawn. And then he should play probably king h7, but he plays g5, so he's kind of loosening the structure around his king. And now I could challenge that immediately with h4, but I play queen e2, also a good move, putting pressure on the knight here. I'm threatening actually to take on g5 and win the knight. So he retreats, and I still keep a pretty good advantage. So I try to maneuver my knight around to a better position. He goes knight h7, and get my knight up to g4. And then he goes f5, and f5 here is really a mistake. So he's already loosened his position, and this should probably be losing. And I play correctly for a while, but eventually I kind of lose the thread here. I miss the key tactical follow-up, so I thought this was pretty interesting here. So I take, he takes back. And then, I was very concerned about this square here. I wanted to occupy it. Bishop e4 is a chess engine recommendation, but knight e4 is not bad. And then he should play something like queen e7, yeah, bringing the queen over to help defend. Instead he plays knight f6. And now there's just some great tactics in the position, so you can see the computer has a couple suggestions here, but you might want to just study this position and see if you can find why these tactics are working here. This is a good time to pause the video and just look at it. It's a pretty interesting position with lots of possibilities, and I don't find the best way out of it. So right now I'm going to start talking about it. So if you want to think about the position some more, go ahead and pause the video and think about it. The top engine recommendation is knight e takes f6. So if you grab that pawn, now the engine is recommending just moving the king away and giving up a whole piece. So, but you have to ask yourself, what happens if you take the piece? And then the answer is not knight takes f6, which would be similar to the game, but knight takes h6, check. And it's just opening up this file so the queen can jump over here. So the king has to start running. He's in check, for one thing, and he doesn't want to go to h8 where he'd be in big trouble. And just picks up the bishop. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, yeah, piece up. So and also, like I said, the queen is coming in here. Now, was there any way to save that bishop after check? The king could try. No, the bishop is too far away. There's no way to save it. Okay, so that's the tactic. You take with the e knight. So bishop takes, and then you take on h6, forking the king and the bishop. Okay, tactic number one. So the way I played it is also good, and there's a later tactic here that I missed. Now knight g takes f6, bishop takes f6, and then queen h5. So far I'm playing all the computer moves. I wasn't too worried about him taking this knight. I get my bishop here, and I've got a pretty scary looking attack with the queen and the bishop and the pawns coming forward. So he plays the move bishop to g7, just retreating. And here is the cool tactic. Cool tactic number two. And the knight can just take this pawn on d6, and you might want to pause and take a minute to figure out why that works. Okay, it's not too hard to see. If you take it, and he takes back, and leaves the rook hanging. So it's an example of the overloaded piece. The queen's doing two jobs. The queen is defending that pawn, and it's defending the rook, and it can't do both of them. So after knight takes d6, the rook is under attack. If the rook moves to f8, say, then once again you pick up this bishop. So it's a fork of the bishop on f5. So that's why if we back up in this position, that's why f5 is such a terrible move, is because the specifics of leaving the, I mean, it's bad in general because it's weakening the position around the king, but it's bad in particular because after the trades there's a bishop left on f5, which is just loose and subject to tactics in all of these lines. So I missed this. I played knight g takes f6, got that part right. I brought the queen in, and then here I missed the idea of knight takes d6. I play rook a1, just bringing a more force into the attack. I still have an advantage here, but my advantage is diminishing. Once again, knight takes d6 is a great move. It forks these two pieces, and the pawn isn't even defended, so I really should have spotted that one. But I guess I was focused on prying open the h-file and the g-file and continuing the attack on the king. It's an example of being too single-minded. You really need to stop at each position and look around and see if you can find all the resources that are available to you. Okay, I continue with h4, still with some edge, but now he can take. I take back, and the knight comes in, so he's starting to get something going here. And now I come in with my queen thinking, well, maybe I can get some pressure on this bishop, break down these pawns. But he just starts taking off my pieces, and my advantage is just diminishing. And he grabs here, and I should probably just take back, but I was still trying to get something going with the queen, threatening to take on h6. But this can be pretty easily defended, and he finds queen f6 the best way to defend. And in fact, now the game is even, or black is even slightly better. So I don't really have much to do here. Queen g4. I guess I could try to keep the queens on. Played queen takes f6, bishop takes, and grabbed this pawn. He grabs, I grab, and right here, black has equalized, and the game would continue. I have this weakness here as we go into the end game, but it's also potentially a strength. Where I could try and convert that, but his king is in an ideal spot to stop it, and he also has an outside passed pawn. So these are our two countervailing strengths, and it's about even, I guess. So all he has to do is notice that his bishop is under attack and retreat it. Now he tried a move which may seem logical at first. He plays king h7, which attacks my bishop, but unfortunately when I grab his bishop, I also defend my own bishop, and there's no way for his king to come in and attack. The rook and the bishop are covering all these squares, so his king, sometimes when you have two pieces like a rook guarding a bishop or a knight, the king can step up and attack both of them, but there's no way for him to get to any of those squares in this particular configuration. So anyway, he just resigned at this point. It is pretty hopeless. He has no moves with the king, and I'm just going to start gobbling up his pawns here with my extra piece. So that's how the game ended. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and leave any comments you have in the section below. I'll see you again soon. Bye.